It's really interesting with fermented foods because it's a good example of something that's been passed down. Like I think sauerkraut and fermentation of foods started in China, but it got popular in Germany. My father is German. I have really great memories of my father and his brothers making sauerkraut in the basement at my uncle's house. And it was this cultural thing. And it was just to see all these men doing this project together was really cool. And in general, fermented food isn't going to hurt most people, but it's very actually difficult for people that have sensitive guts. If people have a sensitive system, some people get really bloated, they get gastric issues, they might get nausea, they might feel a little drunk from it because it's fermenting, right? So there's a lot of different symptoms that can come up for sensitive people. Other people, it might pass through their system because they're not sensitive and they might be fine with eating fermented foods. But you have to know, why is this? Why was this so important to the Chinese and to the Germans? Because they didn't have refrigeration. So they would have died if they didn't have fermented foods. So they took the cabbage or the radish or whatever it was and fermented it so that they could actually eat over the winter. So I think this is where Anthony really tunes us into, like, what is the energy of that food? Decay. The energy of that food is decay and death. You would be so much better if you want to fight cold and flu to focus on healing, living foods that are full of life. They're alive. They have elevated biotics on them. They are living things to help your cells thrive and live, unless you have to. If you have no other choice but to eat those foods because you're going to starve, then they're a really good thing. But it's such a good question, Candace, because a lot of people get caught up in this. Well, it's ancient, so it works. And first of all, we are dealing with so many symptoms and conditions in our culture today that weren't there hundreds of years ago. They're proliferating now because of a lot of different factors. We're not in the same health situation that we were hundreds of years ago. This is like it is what it is with all of Anthony's techniques and tools. They make practical sense. I want to eat something alive and fresh that's going to nourish my cells. I was at a friend's place and saw in their refrigerator a jar of kimchi recently. And that thing smelled up the whole fridge, for one thing. But for two, it was in a cheap plastic container, which I was like, first of all, isn't this fizzing? It's fizzing, like it's fermented. So it's fizzy. So it's leaching plastic. Okay. So let's say, all right, well, it's okay then if it's in glass. Well, the radish and the cabbage or whatever they use to make the kimchi, it's rotting and it's got natural flavors, not good for you, citric acid, which is either GMO corn or black mold. That's what that is. It isn't some beautiful essence of a lemon, citric acid in it, and a whole bunch of things I couldn't pronounce. And I thought, these people might be thinking, I don't know if they're thinking, maybe they just like the taste. That could be because maybe it tastes really good. They think it's a health food. It's a food. And like the levels of problems with that food, it's not food. It's just garbage, radioactive garbage at this point. What I think.
Yum, yum.